What you see on screen are two different representations of what Shri Yantra is. The top one is a Meru, which is a three-dimensional form of the Shri Yantra. And the bottom one is a Shri Yantra Bhuprastaraha, which is a flat two-dimensional arrangement of Shri Yantra. This is the most complex yantra there is. There are hundreds upon hundreds of scientific research papers, people trying to figure out the geometry of it or the precision of it, how to find mathematical solutions, to find intersecting points. All the lines that you see, all the triangles are perfectly intersecting triangles, by the way, within a circle. So how to find it? If so many number of perfect intersections are possible, how many solutions can there be? So there are so many mathematical and psychological, metaphysical research papers that have been made on this Shri Yantra. In Soundarya Lahari, Adi Shankaracharya gives out a blueprint, a kind of a layout on what Shri Yantra is. This shloka that is coming up next mentions each of these and describes in both as the flat Shri Yantra and as a Meru, how this is the abode of the goddess, or this is the goddess herself. So until now we have been looking at her as a cosmic force, as the energy of creation. We have also seen her as the energy that is present within the human body. We now look at her as a physical, nuts and bolts, how she can be represented in a geometric form. So we'll get into that now. Before we go into the shloka, of course, the prayoga, the siddhi that corresponds to the 11th shloka, not the Shri Yantra itself, but just the 11th shloka of Soundarya Lahari, which has this as the corresponding yantra and this as the bija mantra that corresponds to it, has the siddhi of improving fertility in men and women. There is this very, if there are miscarriages or if there is infertility issues that people are facing, then doing this sadhana, once again facing east, this time for a period of 81 days, once again a chant, 1000 times chant each day, by offering a naivedya of guda payasam, which is jaggery made recipe. So it's not that we are feeding God. Of course, this is again, there is enormous, I don't want to use the word, but there is enormous knowing that goes into, enormous science that goes into the naivedya, the ritual, the puja vidhana, how, what to do with the yantra, what the sounds of the yantra are, how they affect the physical body, which goes into all of this. It's not just out of blind faith or out of just some sort of emotion that these kinds of sadhana work. There is a lot of understanding that goes into how the human body is, what the human body needs, how it can be impacted. So this is the prayoga that corresponds to the 11th shloka, and this is the yantra. Now, to chant this shloka, you can now repeat after me. Chaturbhihi Shrikanthaihi Shiva Yuvatibhihi Panchabhirapi Prabhinnabhihi Shambhoho. The word can be split as Shambhoho Navabhirapi. Shambhor Navabhirapi. Once again. Shambhor Navabhirapi Moola Prakriti Bhihi. It is not Prakriti Bhihi or Prakruti Bhihi. It's not U or E. It is R. It is a swara. E is a different swara. U is a different swara. R is a vowel. It is a different swara. Moola Prakriti Bhihi Chatushchatvarimshat. We'll split the word. Chatushchatvarimshat Vasudala Kalashra Trivalaya. The entire word goes Chatushchatvarimshat Vasudala Kalashra Trivalaya. Once again. Chatushchatvarimshad Vasudala Kalashra Trivalaya Trirekhabhihi Sardham Tava Sharana Sharana Konaha. It is not Sharana. I just made that mistake if you notice. It is not Sharana. It is Sharana. Na. There is a distinction between Na and Na. Na is said by flicking the tongue backwards and then flicking it forward. Na. In contrast to Na, which is just the tongue at the back of the upper row of teeth. Na. It is not Na. It is Na. Sharana Konaha Parinataha. We'll do it then line by line completely now. Chaturbhih Shri Kanthai Shiva Yuvatibhih Panchabhirapi. One more time. Chaturbhih Shri Kanthai Shiva Yuvatibhih Panchabhirapi. You might notice that I am combining these two sounds. This is called as a sandhi when this sound and this sound comes together. Instead of saying Chaturbhihi Shri Kanthaihi, you can just say Chaturbhih Shri Kanthaihi or Chaturbhih Shri Kanthai Shiva Yuvatibhih Panchabhirapi. And that Shiva Yuvatibhih plus Panchabhirapi becomes Shiva Yuvatibhih Panchabhirapi. Chaturbhih Shri Kanthai Shiva Yuvatibhih Panchabhirapi. Prabhinnabhih Shambhor Navabhirapi Moola Prakritibhih. Chatushchatvarimshad Vasudala Kalashra Trivalaya. Trirekhabhis Sardham Tava Sharana Kona Parinataha. I hope the words are clear how to utter them. Let's do it in tune now. Chaturbhih Shri Kanthai Shiva Yuvatibhih Panchabhirapi. Prabhinnabhih Shambhor Navabhirapi Moola Prakritibhih. Chatushchatvarimshad Vasudala Kalashra Trivalaya. Trirekhabhis Sardham Tava Sharana Kurna Parinata. So this, like I said, is going to give us a glimpse of this magnificent structure, this, extremely scientific. I don't want to use scientific so many times, but there is no other way to put this extremely elegant, brilliant structure called the Shri Yantra. Now, one second. Yeah. Maybe we'll come back to this diagram. So this is what Adi Shankaracharya is describing. This is a very mathematical shloka, but at the same time giving the principles behind it. We'll come back to this diagram once we understand the words of the shloka. This will make more sense then. There are other images also to describe it, like this one and this one. We'll come to these also later on. But let us now quickly understand the... one second, guys. The layer-wise arrangement of the words in this shloka. There is only one key idea. The ninth shloka in today's session had 2 key ideas. 10th had 3. This one just has 1. There is only one key idea being conveyed in the entire shloka. All the other words support that key idea. Now let's look at these words. Let's zoom in. So we have to do a little bit of an anvaya krama. We have to move the words forward, backward to make sense. Parinataha, sardham parinataha. Ardha means a half. Sa ardham means along with the half. Parinataha is they have become fully blossomed, full-fledged. With this, with the other half, there are 2 halves present somewhere. We don't know it yet. But sardham parinataha, with each other, those 2 halves have now become complete. They are full-fledged. What have become full-fledged? Tava, your, sharana, konaha. Konaha, no? Yeah, it is not konaha, my bad. It's konaha. Tava sharana konaha parinataha. So Kona is a place of being. What kind of place of being? Sharana Kona, the places of refuge, where somebody can do their sadhana on, the places which one can approach. Your places of refuge, your places that we can approach and worship and activate within ourselves, they are now fulfilled. How have they been fulfilled? They have been fulfilled by these different elements within them. The first of which is Chaturbhihi Shri Kanthaihi. Shri Kantha is one of the names of Lord Shiva. Shri is the hala that he holds, and Kantha is where he holds it, in his throat. The word Shri for wealth again has the root in Shrunati or Hinasti. We'll not go into the details, but he holds Shri in his throat, which is one of the names for Shiva. So there are 4 Chatvari. There are Chaturbhihi is along with 4 Shiva Tattvas in a particular place. In Shri Yantra, if we want to look at it geometrically, inside the body, if we want to look at it physiologically, in creation, if we want to look at it in a more abstract form. But there are 4 aspects of Shiva. Now, Panchabhihi api Shiva Yuvatibhihi. And there are 5 aspects of Shakti. So, 4 aspects of Shiva. Chaturbhi Shri Kanthaihi, Shiva Yuvatibhihi, Panchabhihi api. These 5 aspects of Shakti. And these 5 aspects of Shakti are not the same as Shiva. So they are distinctly different from the 4 aspects of Shiva. So there is 4 of Shiva and 5 of Shakti. These have been separated. They are diametrically opposite to each other and separated by a point, a dot. What it is, where it is, we'll look at it in other shlokas, and in the Shri Yantra coming up, but just know this as the meaning of this word. Shambhoh prabhinnabhi. Bhinna is that which is different, that which is separate, distinct. And then Navabhirapi Mula Prakriti. And this 5 and 4, Shiva and Shakti, these 5 and 4 coming together, there are 9 such primordial natures of creation. Mula Prakriti, which is the root cause for creation to spring forth. There are 9 of those. Chatushchatvarimshad. And there are 44 aspects somewhere. Chatvari is 40. Chatushchatvarimshad is 40 plus 4. Vasudala Kalashra. Vasu means the number of Vasus, 8, Ashtavasus. And Kalas are the 16 aspects of the moon. So Kalashra, Vasudala Kalashra means there are 2 such enclosures which are 8 and 16 faceted in number. Trivalaya, and with 3 circles, Trirekhabhihi, and 3 lines. Rekha is a line, Valaya is a circle, Rekha is a line. So this is a very, very geometrical, just physical description of of something, of the aspect of Shiva and Shakti. And in this kind of an arrangement, where there are 4 forms of Shiva, 5 principles of Shakti, 4 principles of Shiva, which have come together to form 9 primordial natures of creation and 44 different intersecting junction points, and then which are surrounded by an 8-petaled enclosure and then a 16-petaled enclosure, and which then are encircled inside 3 circles, all of which are present within 3 lines. Thus, in this form, the places of your refuge are full-fledged, along with the other half, one half being Shiva, the other half being Shakti. We'll get to this, we'll understand this in more detail. Right now, this, when I first started learning Soundarya Lahari, just as a poetic, very beautiful poetic expression of devotion towards Goddess Shakti, this led me towards a whole world of research of what Shri Yantra is. This eventually led me towards Devipuram, and that is where my kind of curiosity found all its answers. That beautiful place called Devipuram in coastal Andhra Pradesh, called Vishakhapatnam. But anyway, this, if you are really curious about what, how deep this symbolism is, how profound this entire approach is, then you are in for a treat. Anyway, so we just now saw all these aspects. There are 44 some junction points. There are 4 aspects of Shiva, 5 aspects of Shakti. These come together to form 9 primordial aspects of creation, which then have 44 junction points, which have 8 and 16 petaled enclosures. All of this is pointing towards, of course, none other than the beautiful Shri Yantra. As you see, there are 4 upward pointing triangles. Do you see? Can you spot the 4 upward pointing triangles? They are in red. I hope it's clearly visible. My mouse pointer is not appearing on screen. Oh, my hand is. So this one, here I think it'll cut off. Yeah, but this one is one triangle. This is the second. This is the third. And then this is the fourth. Chaturbhi Shri Kanthaihi, with 4 aspects of Shiva. Shiva Yuvatibhi Panchabhirapi. And there are 5 aspects of Shakti. Do you in the same diagram, do you see the 5 aspects of Shakti? I have colored them separately, but do you see this downward pointing triangle, all the downward pointing triangles? Let me pull up that image. These are the 5. You might want to full screen your devices. If you're on desktop or laptop, it's fine, I guess, but if you're on mobile, you can zoom it in. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in black there are, of course, the 4 upward pointing triangles. People I don't want to really keep dissing the West every chance I get, but people are so mind blown with just the cup and the chalice, the upward and the downward moving triangles. This is the level of complexity we have in Sanatana Dharma. So you see, all the downward pointing triangles represent the divine feminine goddess Shakti as 5 different aspects of Shiva Yuvati. Shiva Yuvati Bhiv Panchabhirapi, 5. Chaturbhi Shri Kanthaihi, with 4 aspects of Shiva, they coming together with 8 petaled lotus around it and 16 petaled lotus around that, with 3 circles and 3 lines. This entire form has now found fulfillment by 2 halves being present in one. Does this make sense? Sardham parinataha. What parinataha? Tava sharanakonav parinataha. Can't believe I'm just pointing at Shri Yantra like this, but this is it. There are some claims that this is a diagrammatical representation of the Omkara or the Pranava. I don't know about the validity of such claims. I have not been able to corroborate them with any facts or with any research. But this is definitely one of the most intriguing geometrical patterns there is in creation, which has hundreds of research papers that I found. There might be thousands, I don't know. But there is still research going on. People are finding newer and newer things, discovering new things, just studying this divine form. So now that this is complete, we in understanding the Shri Yantra and its and correlation with the human body is an entire life pursuit in itself. It's a complete path of yoga in itself. It's called a Shri Vidya. There is the entire Khadgamala Stotram, Lalita Sahasranamam, Devi Mahatmyam, all of these revolve around this form. But for our exploration here, we see that this is a union of Shiva and Shakti. This is a perfect representation of the union of Shiva and Shakti in a geometrical format. Before we close, I also wanted to show how 44 is formed. Here, the number 44, where is that 44 coming from? Of course, the 5 is obvious, 9 is obvious, 3 circles, 3 lines are obvious, 16 and 8 petals are obvious. But where is 44? To see that 44, there is this diagram. You see, starting there, going clockwise, each junction, each individual triangle that has been formed by an intersection of these 4 upward and 5 downward moving triangles has resulted in 43 unique triangles, and of course there is the bindu, 44, including the source of energy, the source at the center. So there are these 44 places of approach where one can seek refuge. All of these correspond to human faculty within. Each of them correspond to something which we can unlock within ourselves, or something we can approach to seek outside as a cosmic force, who is in turn personified as the mother goddess Shakti herself in her humanoid form. This is the entire, I don't want to call it secret, we have not yet scratched the surface, but in some ways this is the secret of the Shri Yantra and the 11th Shloka of Soundarya Lahari.